pretty good.
Well, I thought since you like to see me in costumes, I didn't want to let you down.
Yeah, well, tremendous, and somebody predicted it would be a police officer, and you look great.
This is actually my real gig, you know. The acting's a part-time thing.
This is probably a story that you're tired of telling, but the idea that you were in the school, you were in like drama school in London, is that right?
That's right.
And then two days before you leave school, you get like a major motion picture. Do I have that correct?
That is correct.
And how old a kid were you then? Like 21 or something?
22.
22 years old.
Yeah.
How many years had you been studying acting at that point?
Well, I moved to London when I was 16 because I wanted to be an actor. I finished my education and joined.
But now, what happened at 16 that made you want to be an actor?
You know, it was actually younger than that. I used to see those great characters on TV or even on the street performers or theater performers or film actors, and I thought, when I was about 9, I was like, wow, if I realized that they were actually actors and not those characters, and I was like, well, if I'm an actor, then I can be anyone I want to be. So that was kind of when I decided, and I headed off to London when I was 16 and did a school for 3 years.
And who do you remember having actors that you particularly liked at that age?
You know what? Paul Newman, funnily enough, I know it sounds because I was young, but my cousin, who's a real film buff, used to love Paul Newman, and he was... I remember watching The Hustler, and Somebody Up There Likes Me, and Butch Cassidy and Sundance.
Yeah. Endless list of great films.
He was amazing.
Very entertaining. And always, for each film, he's the reason to watch the movie.
Yeah.
He makes some good movies.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's 16 now, and then you go off to school, and then you're 2 days or so from graduation, and what happens?
Well, I'd been going up for castings and meetings and so on, and I'd met on Lord of the Rings, and I'd actually met the casting directors, and the tape had been sent off, and I hadn't been told anything by my agent because I guess they didn't want to jinx it. But I then subsequently I met Peter Jackson, and we sat down and talked, and then it was like 2 days before I finished, and I got a phone call from my agent. I remember it quite clearly. I was standing in my apartment, my one-bedroom apartment, and I was like, "You got the role of Legolas in Lord of the Rings." And I was just like, I couldn't stop screaming, and for about 6 days I kept calling her every day, about 3 times a day, saying, "Is that for real? Is this for real? Am I really playing? Did you really say that it was Legolas?" And I was like, it's so... and even up to the point where I was on the set, I couldn't believe it was happening until it was, until I'd sort of done about 4 or 5 days of actual filming. I was like, okay, they can't find me now, I don't think.
But you understand that this story is remarkable for many, many different reasons, not the least of which is that the old story is always an overnight success, and it took him 20 years to become an overnight success. But you really are an overnight success.
Yeah.
You go to school, 2 days away from graduating, you're in the blockbuster movie, and there you go.
Who knew? I know.
That's just remarkable.
It truly, truly is, and I feel... I'll be forever grateful to Peter and Fran for giving me that opportunity.
Man, and what about all your buddies in school? What do they think? Oh.
They were, it was. I actually, while I was in school, I had this terrible back injury while I was in school.
What was the nature of that?
I've had a few accidents actually in my past, and but the back injury was the one that really put an end to all of them because for 4 days I fell 3 floors from a window. I got out of a window onto a drain pipe.
What did a plumbing problem?
I know. Well, actually, some friends of mine had a roof terrace on the landing below their apartment, and the door had been warped by the weather. And I looked out the window, and I was like, it was just 1.5 meters down to the left. I could have jumped straight from the window, but instead I got onto this rusty piece of drain piping and fell back 3 floors and landed from a floor window on a first floor roof terrace between some iron railings and an old washing machine that had been left out. So it was a narrow escape just from that fact. And then I lay there and wasn't able to move anything, and I was completely freaked out. They got a helicopter, they couldn't get to me. Eventually they got a fire engine, and they wenched a fireman over who knocked through the doors and got me out of there. And I got taken to the best back hospital in the country, which was so fortunate because they just had a hospital flu, believe it or not. All these crazy things happened, and they admitted me so that I could have surgery. And they told me it was touch and go for about 4 days whether I'd actually walk again because there was no feeling in my legs.
My God. And then what was the rehabilitation like after that?
I had this really miraculous recovery, actually. They said I'd be on my back for at least 6 months, but I actually walked out on crutches from hospital 12 days later. And I managed to complete my 3rd year at drama school, which is why I suppose. And so my drama school, my fellow drama school students were kind of when I got Lord of the Rings, they were just so happy that I was walking,
Yeah.
and then to get Lord of the Rings, they would, you know, it was kind
Well,
of...
that's another tremendous story.
Yeah.
Now, do you have like stuff in your back, the screws and bolts and braces and things like that?
Yeah, they pinned and plated me for a year, and then they removed them, but they left one screw in one of my vertebrae because it was too deep in to take out.
So that one will stay.
That one will stay.
And does it affect your mobility at all?
You know, it's something that actually I try to make a positive thing by doing a lot of Pilates and stretching yoga stuff and keeping strong and healthy so that my back ultimately is always fit and healthy.
Wow. So